In the 1950s, Seydou Keïta, a Malian photographer, was recognized for his pictures of people and families taken at his portrait photography studio in Bamako, Mali's capital. His images are widely regarded as works of art as well as documentation of Malian society. Keïta was born in Bamako, Mali, in 1921, but the exact year is uncertain. He was the oldest of 5 children in a household of 5. Bâ Tièkoro, his father, and Tièmòkò, his uncle, were both furniture craftsmen. After returning from a vacation to Senegal, Keïta's uncle handed him a Kodak Brownie with an 8-shot film in 1935, sparking his interest in photography. Keïta began his career as a carpenter and photographer, first photographing his family and friends, then moving on to photographing individuals in his area. Pierre Garnier, the owner of a photographic supply company in France, and Mountaga Dembélé, his mentor, taught him photography and how to develop film. He opened his first studio in 1948, near the main prison in Bamako-Kura, in his family's home. Keïta began shooting portraits of customers after acquiring studio space and a dark room, and he earned a reputation for his style in both his images and the way he shot his people. Keïta described his approach in an interview with art curator André Magnin, saying that they showed his clients images of prior portraits he had done, let them choose a posture they liked, and then I recommended a position that was better suited for them, and in fact, I decided the good position. I never made a mistake. The innovative use of props and backdrops in a lot of Keïta's images was another part of his style that contributed to his fame as a portrait photographer. He used a lot of harsh patterns as a backdrop. Many people comment on how beautifully these surroundings complemented his female subjects' clothing, but Keïta has often stated that this was just coincidental. Clients sought Keïta not just for his unique style, but also for the culture and elegance that a photograph of oneself imprinted with the words "a photo." Seydou Keïta conveyed. Thousands of Malians passed through Keïta's studio without their identities being recorded. He had painstakingly saved all of his negatives, estimating that there were between 7,000 and 30,000 of them since 1948. His archives were divided into broad categories, for example, couples, groups, and solitary full figures, and then further divided by year. Keïta would renew his studio props every few years, which would eventually aid in establishing his work's chronology. He stated that he intended to photograph pictures of our rural people at harvest time, and the ritual ceremonies that go on around then, in order to capture Mali's memories and customs. That is where Mali's essence is shown. His studio was born during the great economic and demographic boom that swept Bamako in the years after World War II, says Elizabeth Bigham, a Columbia University historian, of how the period affected his art. Keïta was given a post by the Mali head of police and the director of Malian national security immediately after Mali got independence in 1962. He accepted the position of official government photographer without hesitation. Keïta's new employment eventually forced the closure of his studio in 1963, despite the fact that he remained to work for the government for many years. Despite his retirement in 1977, he remained well known in Mali. In an essay for African Arts, Keïta noted that after color became popular, he stopped photographing. When Keïta's work was secretly presented at the Center for African Art in New York City in 1991, his work became renowned outside of West Africa. Though his art was originally exposed to worldwide audiences through his incognito presence at the African Express show, he has subsequently been discovered and recognized in subsequent exhibitions. This is partly owing to collector André Magnin's search for him after seeing his anonymous work. Thousands of Keïta's negatives were later handed to Magnin, who made up the majority of his publicly shown work. Keïta died in Paris on November 21, 2001.